I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Palau.
Mr. President, Secretary General, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Palau aligns itself with the statement made by Fiji in its capacity as chair of the Pacific Island Forum. We additionally make the following statement in our national capacity. Ukraine and Palau have little in common. One is a large post-Soviet state in Eastern Europe, and the other is a small blue ocean state, an archipelago of tropical islands in the Pacific. Yet we feel a certain kinship with Ukraine because we could be considered close siblings in the birth of nations. Ukraine became independent most recently in 1991, and Palau shortly thereafter in 1994. And it hasn't escaped us that if the turns of fate had had one of our former colonizers act with the aggression of Russia towards us, that it would have been our people who are suffering the atrocities of war that's happening in Ukraine today. That it might have been my own 5-year-old that was killed in the kindergarten that was bombed. That it might have been a Palauan grandfather who fled his home with nothing except the belongings on his back. That it might have been a Palauan woman who would have been forced on what should have been one of the most joyous days of a woman's life to give birth in a bomb shelter against the booming noise of the missile strikes in the background. Or finally, that it might have been hundreds of our civilians who would have been killed in their homes, all in pursuit of Putin's self-proclaimed principle of historical unity. As we look around the room, few of us are immune to historical unity as a justification of war. In fact, our colorful histories are often the basis for the woven identities of many of us. How many of us are former colonies and/or lived under a foreign rule at one time or another? How many languages are spoken in our countries? And so on. Our historical past is part of the beauty of our fabric as an integrated world, not a perverse excuse to wage an unprovoked war on our neighbors. In this spirit, Palau asks for your vote in favor of today's resolution to condemn Russia and its use of force against Ukraine. Call your capitals. Make the case that we must defend the UN Charter. We cannot stand by as Russia looks to dismantle the rules-based world order in pursuit of its own self-interest. The German Lutheran pastor Martin Niemöller wrote the following while reflecting on the danger of inaction in World War II. First, they came for the socialists, and I didn't speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I didn't speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Ukraine, Palau stands with you. We will continue to speak out and fight for the principles of the UN Charter, human rights, and international law. We will continue to oppose the inhumanity wrought by unjust, illegal warfare. We call on all member states to join us. Thank you.
I thank the distinguished representative of Palau.